was very lonely. People were not interested in having a conference for a segment of the independent school population, both students or faculty. And it was a push, and it was a push that had a timeline attached to it. It really was something that was both very important, very exciting, very thrilling, and there was some pain along the way. So lots of tears were shed as we got to this point. So that first conference was do or die. It had to be a success. There was no such thing as failure, and there was no such thing as turning back. I would like for this conference to really provide students of color, faculty of color, and white allies with an understanding, with a theoretical background, and with experiential logic as to why you should come to this and why you should go back out and do something with what you learned here. Do not come here and go back home and forget that you came here and why you came here. Because there are so many people who work so hard for you to be here. So do not forget from whence you come.
How people are going to get the most out of their experience at POCC is really coming here with an open mind and to connect with people present, you know, and to not be afraid to feel what they're feeling, both as they think and process through their experience in their communities, but also the feelings and emotions that come through in connecting here with the folks. That you know, we're all sharing a common thread and experience, and you know, and for them to connect with others and to not be afraid to ask the hard questions of the people around them, of their administrators, of the folks that they're working with constantly, to really lean into the discomfort of finding your voice and being a voice for yourself and an advocate for students and other folks who aren't at the place of being able to speak up.
Welcome to the stage, POCC co-chair from Sage Hill School, Drew Ishii.
Good morning. Oh, that's awesome. Can you believe it's only day 2? And it's day 2. Oh. When I heard that Dr. Anita Sanchez was confirmed as our keynote speaker this year, I was so excited for everyone at POCC to hear her. Anita has been a huge part of POCC for the past 8 years by providing the training for affinity group facilitators. I have known Anita in this capacity for many years, and I always look forward to being with her and learning facilitation tools from her. But more importantly, I appreciate the energy and wisdom that radiates from her. When I first met Anita at an affinity group facilitator training, she was the first person I saw when I entered the room, and I didn't know a single person. She was so welcoming and kind, and I immediately felt a connection, and she connected me to the affinity group facilitator family. Last year at POCC in Atlanta, we found out that Anita had written a book called The Four Sacred Gifts, Indigenous Wisdom for Modern Times. I read the book the weekend it came out, and I couldn't put it down. It spoke to me in so many ways, especially how she explores the connectedness between people, earth, and spirit. Anita calls on all of humanity to pause, take a breath, and remember our unbreakable human bond. She invites all of us to open our hearts and receive 4 gifts from the world's elders that are so necessary now more than ever. Anita has a PhD in organization development and 40 years of experience working with leaders in global corporations, education, and nonprofit organizations. She is one of my favorite people that I get to see at POCC, and I always learn from her. But before we bring her out, we have a very special guest to give a blessing. If you have read Anita's book, or when you read it, you will appreciate how special this moment is. We are honored to have Don Coyes, Indigenous Elder of the Mohican Nation, founder and president of White Bison, a nonprofit organization dedicated to culturally based healing to the next 7 generations of Indigenous people. Driving from Colorado, Don Coyes has brought to us the sacred eagle hoop, which is a symbol of all humanity, for the opening blessing today. Please welcome Don Coyes and Anita Sanchez.
Thank you, Don.
My name is Don Coyes. I am a member of the Mohican Nation. Our nation is a clan system. It's a matriarchal system. So I was born for the Turtle Clan on my mother's side. My Indian name is Tatanka Wambly. That name was given to me by the elders when I was given the responsibility to be the keeper of your hoop. This isn't my hoop, this is your hoop. But I get to keep it, and when there's a request for it, then my job is to take it to the ones that it was born for. And so I have 9 children. I have 21 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchildren. Last August 10th, I celebrated my 39 years of continuous sobriety. All my children are sober. All my grandchildren are sober. Thank you. So I want to tell you the story how your hoop got here. A long time ago, there was a time when our people occupied this land. Then the elders come to us and they said, there's going to be a people coming to this land. And when they come here, they said they're going to bring 4 mind changers. That's what they told us. One mind changer would be a liquid, a black book, a song, and a card. And they said, when these mind changers come along, you will make it through if you hang on to your spirituality, to your songs, to your ceremonies. That's what you focus on. So it wasn't too long, people started to come to this land, and because we were here, it kind of created a problem. So what it was called was the Indian problem. So then certain moves started to take place. Reservations got created, Trail of Tears got created, and when we went to the elders, what they said was, there's going to be a healing time coming. Stick to your spirituality, stick to your ceremony, stick to your songs. That's where your power is. And so a little bit more time went on, and the movement went west, and the problem got created bigger. So there you started to see things like the government formed 500 boarding schools, and they took the children away from the people, and that was to re-educate the children to live in a dominant culture, not to live in the native ways that we were teaching them. And so we went to the elders, and once again they said, there's a healing time coming. They said, stick to your ceremonies, stick to your spirituality, and stick to the songs. Remember those. Those will get you through what you need to get through. So by 1920, about 99% of the native population had been killed off. And it was going again to the elders, same thing. Stick to your spirituality, the songs, and the ceremonies. Then in the early 90s, the elders called a gathering of those of us who are working in the communities. And what they said the healing time is here. What we've been waiting for all this time, it's here. And what they told us, they said, a long time ago, the Creator came to our Turtle Island, we call North America. And he said, I'm going to divide you into 4 directions: red, yellow, black, and white. Into each of those directions, I'm going to write inside you a knowledge, a teaching. So the red direction, he said, I'm going to put in you the knowledge of the land, of the Mother Earth, of the plants, of the animals. You're going to know all of that. To the yellow direction, he said, I'm going to give you the knowledge of the breath, the wind, meditation. The black direction, he said, you're going to know the water. In the white direction, it was the fire. And they said, you're to go through the cycles of time and gain more of this knowledge, but the day will come when the healing time comes, when the red, the yellow, the black, and white, you must come set in a circle. You got to set in that circle like this, because each of you has a knowledge to give to the other in order for the healing to take place. Our red direction, we cannot heal without the knowledge of the black, the white, and the yellow. Nor can you heal without ours. So they said there will be a gathering will take place, and this exchange of knowledge will start to happen. And they said the first thing you're going to realize when you sit in this circle is that the Creator did not make 4 races, that the Creator only made 1 race. That's a human race. And they said, when we are in the womb, that is where the Creator comes to this little baby being formed, and they said, I'm going to give you your earth suit, they called it. And so in the womb, they give you the suit. Then when you're born, some of us are red, some are yellow, some are black, and some are white. But they said it's just an earth suit. And they said when we sit in this circle and we look at one another, we no longer will see a race, but I'll look inside of your heart and I'll say, you love your children just like I love my children. You care for this just like I care for this. You love just like I love. And we'll start to see a whole different place. And I will just say, kind of as a side note, that's what I experienced first time ever at this conference. It's awesome what you have here. And so they told us, we said, how do you know the healing time is here? So how do we know it's now? And they told us a couple of the prophecies. One said, we were told the healing time is going to come right after an eagle lands on the moon. So in that tribe, they're always looking at the moon, seeing if an eagle was going to land there. Well, I worked for NASA from Apollo 6 to Apollo 13, and they put eagle feathers on that lunar module. So it went up, circled the Earth, the moon, and it came down. The first words ever spoken from the moon said, the eagle has landed. Then another one, they said, this is how we know the healing time is going to come. They said, a spider will build a web around the earth, all around the earth. Then they said, a woman's going to come forth. She's going to speak on that web, and all nations are going to hear her voice. So they said, you're going to see this woman's influence. Her voice is going to mean something around the world, that we're out of harmony with the male thought. We have to come back to be in harmony with the female thought. And so I started to see, like I recall some good examples. One right after the inauguration, thousands of women around the whole world. And the elders said they're going to organize like these birds, the ones that got no leader, but they all turn. They all go like this. They will a force to be reckoned with. Another thing they told us, they said, at this time, how are you going to know that healing time is here? You're going to see young people with old spirits, your children. If some of you could have saw what I experienced yesterday, 1,600-year children, it was just amazing to me how much respectful they were. We had the hoop there, and we had planned on having them come put some prayer tobacco in this hoop. Carlos and I, we said, well, maybe a dozen of them will do it. 1,000 of them came up there. They're lined up and they're participating, very, very respectful. And I thought to myself, if this young people is who's going to take over next on our planet in the world, we're going to be in good shape. Your children are there. So shortly after that, the elders, they said, other things are going to start to happen during the healing time. And this is when the vision of the hoop came. And it was not a dream, it was a vision. A dream, you're always in your own dreams. A vision, you're not in that dream, but you can feel it. It's a power. And so I had this dream, and I took this dream to the elders, and they said, you need to build this hoop of 100 eagle feathers. And of course, I went logistics. I said, where am I going to get 100 eagle feathers? And they said, go home and pray. They said, those feathers will come to you. And so from that day, 9 months later, I received the 100th feather that came. People would just give them to me. They come in the mail. They sent them. And so we built this hoop in a sweat lodge. Then elders instructed us. They said, you need to take this hoop up by the white buffalo calf. But when you are there, you got to bring the traditional spiritual people from the black, the yellow, the red, and the white. And so we did. We brought them from Africa, from Tibet, from Finland. There's a Sami tribe there, and our own people. And the elders, they said, during this healing time, there's 4 powers that is going to be needed to do this power, to do the healing. So they said, we're going to put these powers in this hoop, and it will be like a radio tower. It'll broadcast these 4 powers. So the first powers they put in there was forgiving the unforgivable. They said, in order for us to come together, forgiveness is going to be one of the necessary powers. The second was the powers of unity. We're in this together. No one can solve this by themselves. We need you, you need us. So let's get together and build this future for our children. And so the third was healing. So they put these powers, when you come by it, is you got to heal yourself. And the fourth was the hope, the ability for the dream or for the vision. And so when that was done, the white buffalo calf, it was standing by the fence and it was watching the ceremony when the blacks got up, the yellows got up, the whites, the reds, when they got up. And so then elders gave me the instructions. They said, this hoop is not yours, but we are assigning you the job of that. When the people ask for it, then you have to take it. And so it was a number of months ago that from your gathering here, they asked if I could bring this hoop here. They mistakenly thought it was mine, but it's really yours, so we say yes. So I would just like to do this blessing. This eagle fan is something that we use to carry the energy, and so there's 4 powers. We want to give it from the hoop to all 6,000 of you. We take these powers of forgiveness, and we take these powers of the unity. We take these powers of healing. You take this healing to your children, to those students. They're ready. And then you take this of the hope, the ability for the dream. So that is the blessing that I would leave you with from your sacred hoop. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. These elders. My life has been filled with elders. I'm so grateful. And right at this moment, I am so grateful to all my precious relations in this room from each of the 4 directions. And in growing up, my elder would say 3 things that I wish to share with you. We would be sitting on the floor as children, and he would first say, always begin at the beginning. If we do not say what came before, our skin will be numb, our skin will be dumb. We'll act as if What's happening today is coming out of nothing. So I honor all the elders, my Aztecan and Mexican American family, and the Osage who embraced me and my family. The second thing he would say, I love this. He'd look at us and say, often the toughest, but always the most rewarding journey in life is the journey from the head to the heart and back again. And he wished for all of us many journeys in our lifetime from the head to the heart and back in. And the elders wish that for all of you. And the third thing, I remember all of us would lean forward in this circle because we didn't want to miss a single word. And he would raise his hands in this big circle. And he would say, this is what it means to be a whole human being. To be a whole human being is to understand our connection to the people, to the earth, and to the spirit. We can only have harmony and peace if we live that connection. And so if you hurt a person by saying bad things or thinking them, you not only hurt that person, you hurt the earth and the spirit. And if you hurt the earth by poisoning the water, spitting on the land that we are part of, you not only hurt the earth, you hurt the spirit and the people. And if you hurt the spirit by not acknowledging the sacredness in every being, two-legged, winged, all beings, all elements, then you not only hurt spirit, you hurt the people and the earth. Even with all of that knowledge and practice, life has its challenges as well as its joys. And so, after 17 years of doing diversity, inclusion, equity, and justice work, back in the mid-90s, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it anymore. I wasn't seeing things changing for people in the black direction, people in the red direction, people in the yellow direction. I saw people in the white direction, and they didn't fit a particular mold. They were shunned. And then this hoop, this prophecy, Don and the elders came into my life. If we could show the video, please.
My kindergarten teacher asked, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" "Here, draw it." My friends stood holding drawings of firemen, doctors, mommies. I knew what I was going to be when I grew up. From my dreams, I saw people connecting their hands and hearts, circling the earth. Everyone laughed, but I knew this is what I was going to be when I grew up. As an adult, I was living that dream, filled with lots of experiences and connections to people all over the world. I earned my PhD and was training and coaching leaders and their teams, bringing their minds and hearts together. But after many years, my favorite executives who championed women and men of different backgrounds began to ask, "Why am I doing this?" It hit me like a rock. It echoed what I was feeling inside. In 1995, I found elders to talk to while volunteering at the American Indian Science and Engineering Society's annual conference. I asked them, "What am I supposed to be doing? Should I be doing something else?" On the second night of the conference, we all gathered to receive special gifts that came from the north, south, east, and west. I saw Henrietta Mann, a most beautiful elder. I asked her, "Why won't you answer my questions?" With her powerful and peaceful presence, she said, "Anita, why would I tell you something that you already know?" Henrietta, I am no different than these young students who are preparing to go work and live in organizations whose ways are so different. I am American, Mexican, and American Indian heritage. I need to come home more often, to fill up and go out again. She smiled and nodded. The smell of sage and sweetgrass drew me into the conference room. I became fully present for the first time in months. I saw a hoop with 100 eagle feathers hanging in the center of the room. It symbolized a prophecy from over 100 years ago about a time when the elders from different directions came to pray and sing together. Remember, grandmother and grandfather make no mistakes. We each have a role to play. We are all part of one mother, one earth. We have been living in a time of a great winter, and now we must prepare for the spring. There was silence. Then he began naming the 4 gifts for all humanity to help prepare ourselves and our communities. From the north, the power to forgive the unforgivable. From the west, the power of unity. From the east, the gift of healing. From the south, the gift of hope. Afterwards, I saw Henrietta and another elder, Phil Lane Sr. I don't have all the answers, do I? No, Anita. You think that the worst that has ever happened to our people was to have been murdered and to have our sacred land stolen. You are wrong. The worst thing that can happen to our people or to any people is to lose hope. Her words were like a spear of truth that hit and opened my heart. Those 4 gifts have supported me through good times and tough times. Forgiving my parents healed the little girl who was abused by my father from age 4 to 13. I replaced the hurt and shame with gratitude to my parents for giving me life. Appreciating the similarities and differences of those whom I have taught and who have taught me has built my understanding of the power of unity. One day, looking out from our deck, my youngest son said, "Mom, you had a really tough childhood. Look at everything that you've done, traveling all over the world, working with business leaders, and bringing people together. Wow, what am I going to do? What amazing things am I going to bring into the world?" If it's possible to raise the lights even brighter throughout the whole conference, that would be great. Thank you. I'd like you to be aware of your breathing and aware that after hearing Dawn open such a beautiful blessing, and to already be hearing the words of elders and the gifts, have your heart tell you which of these gifts is calling to you. The power to forgive the unforgivable, the power of unity,
the power of healing, or the power of hope? Allow that to land in your heart right now. And then I'll time you. I'm going to give you 1 minute each. I am a trainer. It's hard not to have experiential. 1 minute, turn to the person next to you and just share that gift that's being called to you. And share whatever you wish to say about it, including just being silent. I'll tell you when the 1 minute is up, and then the second person will do it. Does everyone have a partner? If you don't, raise your hand. Okay. So let's go ahead. You can see hands up. You can gather with somebody else if you don't. You have your partner. If you're a trio, it's okay. First person, begin now. Share your gift. First person, stop. Stop. Switch now to your partner. You have 1 minute to share the gift that's calling to you. Go ahead and begin. Second person, stop. All right, let's get a look at our community. And you're not going to share individually your stories. We don't have time to do that, but we still have another day and a half of the conference for you to share with people. I'd like you to raise your hand when I call the gift. Those who had the power to forgive the unforgivable, please raise your hand high so everyone can see. How many in the room? It's a lot. You put your hand down. The power of unity, raise your hand. Thank you. The power of healing, raise your hand. Oh my goodness. And the power of hope, raise yours. Oh, wow. This is, I've been using these gifts for 22 years, and for the last few months with the book, I've been traveling all over. And overwhelmingly, 3 to 4 to 1 is the power to forgive the unforgivable. There were a lot of you that raised your hands. However, the hope was the biggest one. The hope was the largest one here. So I'm going to share a story, but the power to forgive was second. So I'm going to share a couple stories. None of these gifts are in a linear order. They're intimately interconnected. So there is no right or wrong of which was called. But the power to forgive means forgiving the normal kinds of things, what you may define as, forgetting somebody's birthday and not saying thank you, and a number of things. And then there's the forgiving the unforgivable, which is some of the bigger hurts, maybe to whole groups of people, maybe to Mother Earth itself. Then there's the forgiving oneself. And then there's the forgiving of the other. I know a lot about forgiveness. I'm 13 years old. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, in the kitchen with my younger brother and sister and my mom, and we're having a big ice-cold glass of Kool-Aid. And, it tastes good. And then, you know how hot it is. And then there's a knock at the door, and I follow my mom the little distance from the kitchen to the door. And standing there behind the screen are 2 police officers. I could feel this energy rush through me, because in my neighborhood, not so good to see police officers. And what I was seeing on television scared me. But we also had some good police officers who would take us to the Dairy Queen. So I wasn't sure what was going on here. So the policeman says, "Mrs. Sanchez, are you Mrs. Sanchez?" She says, "Yes." "The wife of Phil Sanchez?" "Yes." "May we come in?" And they came in. We stepped in the living room. And they said, "We're really sorry to inform you, but your husband was in an accident. And he was declared dead at the scene." My mom wavered. I felt her body, and she recovered really quickly. That was my mom. And they said, "Can we sit down?" And then they began asking her, "Ms. Sanchez, do you know anyone who would want to hurt your husband? Anyone who would, had difficulties, struggles with?" And she said, "No, what happened?" And they said, "Well, ma'am, earlier today, around the corner at the neighborhood bar, a black man and a white man were having an argument. Your husband was sitting in the same seat this afternoon where the black man was sitting. The white patron returned, saw the profile of him, and fired 2 bullets through his head and killed him on the spot." Our lives changed. But a week later, there was another knock at the door. I went with my mom, figuring it was people bringing food and condolences. But there on the other side of the screen was a white woman and a young white boy, probably around my age. And the white men began to talk. Mrs. Sanchez, I had to come. I had to let you know I am the wife and the son of the man who accidentally killed your husband. He's a good man. He would never have done this if he knew he was Mexican and Native American. He thought he was black, and you know how black people are. And she just started. My mom was indigenous in practice, but she also is very Catholic. And she screamed, "Stop it! Stop it! You don't even know what you're saying. You don't even know the hatred you're teaching your child. I want you to know that I'm going to try really hard to pray for your soul, but you get off my porch." And that night, my mom got us 6 kids together. And she said, "I want you to tell you something, and you must never forget. I want it to go right to your heart, not just your head, because heads do crazy things, right to your heart. A white man murdered your father, not the white race." Then she opened the Kansas City Star, Missouri, the newspaper, and there was a picture of my father in a pool of blood. She goes, "This is racism. When a black person, Mexican, Native American, Asian die, they always show the violence. But if a white person dies, the violence is never shown. This we have to stop." And I want you to know that there are some people that want to hurt you. They're ignorant. So you have to watch. However, I also want you to know that most people, almost all people, are actually very kind and want the same things that we do. healthy relationships, healthy families, work, dignity. You would think the story would stop. I then, living my dream, began working, consulting in diversity inclusion. Maybe some of you understand why it's my life's work. I choose it. I began going into corporate businesses in circles, listening to the people of color, listening to the white men and the women. And I began having this dream, the dream of the white woman and the white boy coming to our door. The difference was I could see everything, but I could not see the white boy's face. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. It was really disturbing. And then, over time, months, I began to see his face. I began hearing white men and women say their parents taught them that they were better than black people, Mexicans, other brown people, Asian people. But they did not believe that. And they were operating in a different way, behaving differently, changing policies, not nearly fast enough, but they were doing it. I learned something then. Something that this hoop was teaching of how we are all related, how we're all connected. You see, the 13-year-old hurt Anita couldn't understand, but the adult did. I took away that white boy's humanity. The very thing I was objecting to other people doing. That 13-year-old thought he could only go on the same path as his parents, killing and spreading horrible hatred. But I saw something different happening. I allowed that to come in. And so I know today, if I were to see this white man, I would be able to know it was him. And if I were back there knowing what I know now, because on that summer day, I lost my father. But that 13-year-old boy lost his father too, and had to live a life knowing his father was a murderer. I would let that white boy into my home. Forgiving the unforgivable is a process. Rarely this is an event. And I want to say, for all of you who raised your hands, which was an awful lot of you, listen to your heart and follow that. But let me just say a few more words about what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Forgiveness does not mean giving away your power, being weak. Forgiveness doesn't mean betraying your identity group, your family. Forgiveness doesn't mean you don't seek justice. What forgiveness does mean is that you truly love yourself. Love yourself enough to be free from the prison of the anger, hurt, resentment of what either happened or didn't happen. Free to use your energy and to have clarity about what is happening now, what it is that we can create. So never forgetting, but being cleansed and free. I won't go further today on the forgiveness. I actually went further, as you could tell, in forgiving the other. A lot of people write and say you don't need to do that. Of course, in South Africa, Bishop Tutu and others have taught, no, we can actually transform the relationship. And I believe that's the healing time we're in. So the gift of forgiving the unforgivable. I want to share another gift. And that's of healing. Underlying all these gifts requires a fundamental ability that we all need to continually develop. I'm working on it, and that's listening. Listening to ourselves, what's happening inside, listening to each other. I've sort of come to believe that listening is maybe the best gift you could ever give another person. My oldest son was 20 years old. He was madly in love. Oh, so in love. So in love, 2.5 years with this young woman. And you know how when kids are toddlers, they walk and their heels don't touch the ground? That 6'2" son of mine was like that. He was just, so happy. And then on a Labor Day, he came into the house and I heard this sobbing, crying, wailing. And I rushed downstairs and it was him. And I looked at him real quick to see if there was any blood. What was going on? And he just go, it hurts, it hurts. And I wanted to start asking questions, drilling. What happened? Who can I get? What's going on? The peace person just went. What's going on? And he finally came out of him. My girlfriend, she just broke up with me. She told me she doesn't love me. It hurts so bad, Mom. When our children were little, we never let them sleep in bed with us. But we always told them they could come and lie on the carpet on the floor with a pillow and blanket or right outside the door. Yeah, maybe some of you do that. Our 6'2" son, not for days, for weeks, lies outside the door on the floor. Thanksgiving comes. By then he's doing better. He's going out with friends. He's still doing school. And in December, after Thanksgiving, we're driving somewhere, and I'm driving. He says, Mom, I want to tell you, I saw my ex-girlfriend. I could feel my hands clench the wheel. And he said, I just went over to her and said, look, I'm not trying to get back together. Just tell me what happened. What happened here? And she said, my parents and I had a conversation, and we decided that I could do better than you. But I remembered the gift of listening. I'm listening, son. And he said, well, Mom, when she said that, immediately I said to her, well, I'm only 20. I've already helped some friends in the dorms, and they're already making millions. I'll do it one day. I'm going to make money. But she shook her head. No. Mom, I don't know where it came from. Right out of my gut, came out of my mouth. I looked at her and said, it's because I'm Mexican and Native American, isn't it? She nodded yes and walked away. He was sobbing. I'm here, son. Months went by, and we're in the car. We're taking a lot of trips. And he says, Mom, I have something to tell you. I could tell already I was gripping the wheel. And then he says, I just want to tell you, and I'll tell Dad later, I love you so much. My hands. He goes, last fall was really hard. I'm thinking inside. He goes, but you and Dad, you didn't try to fix it. You didn't tell us. You didn't say things about her. I figured out so much. I found out who were really my friends that I could call at 2 a.m. and cry, and they would be like, stay on the line. I knew the ones that weren't my friends, that called her the B word. They weren't my friends. I know that my heart is so strong that that's a lie, that it's broken. It got bigger and stronger. So thank you, Mom. Thank you for listening. To be a whole human being, to be in right relationship, requires us to listen. I want to read to you one of the stories in the book. Because elders does not necessarily mean age. Wisdom doesn't necessarily come when you're older. You can also be young and wise. So in this section of the book, it didn't feel right to not identify what Dawn talked about earlier. We're in the time of listening for wisdom. It means putting down your smartphone and your computer. I'm not giving mine away either, but you can't Google wisdom. Let me just say, you can't Google it. You got to be still and look for it inside. You can go out into nature that we're a part of, or you can go to the true elders. This woman, Jaslyn Charger, was at Standing Rock, one of the young women, the water protectors. And when I asked her if she'd put a piece in the book of her words, this is what she said. I am from the River Sioux tribe, located in Eagle Butte, South Dakota. I founded the International Indigenous Youth Council based out of Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota. When you really look at the world and its beauty and what it has to offer all of us, of how old it is, how much it has seen, even when history gets lost, the memories are still kept. The earth remembers. It holds our heritage in her heart. All the blood that has been spilled on the ground trying to possess her, it leaves an imprint. She sees all the wars, all the genocide, and the harm, but also the love. Why do we look forward to a heaven we must change ourselves to access, when our Mother Earth created one for us to live peacefully in? How are we expected to be granted a new home in the afterlife when we constantly destroy the home we are given in this life? She shows us life every day. The beauty we see in nature is the beauty we should see in each other and ourselves, in how different we are. No place is the same, and no person is the same. Nothing stays the same. We waste time clinging to a world that isn't ours to keep, instead of making sure it is here for our children to come. My people understood this, and they were so kind to think and dream of me. They died and suffered and fought against all odds to make sure I will have a life and give it to my children. Now that is the legacy that they have passed down to us. Across the ages, the human race has been at war with itself to stay alive. Why does my generation have to fight to have water, to have food, and a good life, when life is a gift and should be respected? Because we all die, but we are stronger and more awake and united than we have ever been. Because the children of our enemies are our allies now. We are healing as a race from the historical trauma we all have endured. We are all indigenous to this planet. We are all related. Jaslyn Charger, Cheyenne, 19 years old. So in closing, I know from the 1600 youth, you really understood the significance of this event, to actually have this sacred hoop present and Dawn here. I thank you. And I know that's true for the adults as well. The elders want you to use the gifts. They already belong to you. You don't have to purchase the book. My publisher won't like that. But you just use those gifts. Those are the gifts that are meant for us to remember that we are all connected, the people, earth, and spirit. There are a couple of things, I know my time's out, but I want to just give another gift to you. You can go to FourSacredGifts.com. I ran out of time. There is a song that was created for my book. It has a lot of the concepts and messages. It's a beautiful song, and you can download it for free. So just go to FourSacredGifts.com, not now, but in a little bit, when you take back that smartphone, and you download the song. And it will help remind you of the time here together and of the gifts that are calling to you. And the last thing I want to say is that the elders are gathering all over the world. And I want to close with this prophecy that is not only from the Hopi, but also from the Maori. And I was just with 13 elders from all over the world, from a Bushman from the Kalahari I've never been with before, and all over. And it is so important for us to understand the time we're in. The river is rushing. We can cling to the side as things are eroding and suffer. And in this time, this healing time, we are to let go. When you let go, you might be taken under and be gulping water and gasping for air. And you pop up and it's raging. And we're to look and you to go to the center. Don't cling to the side, go to the center. And look around who is with you. And you may gulp some more. There, look. Who's with you? Go to the center. Go to the heart. And trust your wisdom and the wisdom of nature and the wisdom of elders, for the river knows where it is going. We are part of it, and it is part of us. Thank you, all my precious relations. Thank you so very much. Thank you. That was so good. That was such a good.
Another round of applause for Anita Sanchez. Elder Don, when I asked for the hoop to come to POCC, I didn't know that it belonged to us. Thank you for giving us the best birthday gift ever. This is one of my favorite times at POCC, a time when we are able to honor and to recognize some of the leaders of the NAIS school community. And I would like at this point for the heads of schools of color who are here to join me on the stage. Thank you.
Good morning.
So half of you on this side. No, our birthday. Oh my goodness. And some of you are standing, so I'm going to ask you to sit down just for a moment. And now I'm going to ask all aspiring heads of color who are in the audience to stand up. So you are the leaders of the future, and these are your role models and leaders for all of us in the National Association of Independent Schools. On behalf of the association, our president, Donna Oram, who would love to be here with you, and all of our students, thank you so much for showing us what great leadership looks like in independent schools. So we're going to pass the mic so that you can introduce yourselves.
Good morning. Marcus Ware, head of school at Springfield Commonwealth Academy, Springfield, Massachusetts.
Hi, Tomohiro Hoshi, Stanford Online High School.
Love Weinstock, Berkwood Hedge School, Berkeley, California.
Byron Lawson, Trinity Preparatory School, Winter Park, Florida.
Morning, Randall Dunn, head of school, Latin School of Chicago.
Khalik Kirkland, I'm the proud head of school at Quest Academy in Palatine, Illinois.
Cynthia Harmon, proud head of school of the Park School in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Karen Cumberbatch, head of school at Carolina Friends School in Durham, North Carolina.
David Colon, head of school, Wakefield School in the Plains, Virginia, but soon to be head of school at Visitation Academy in St. Louis, Missouri.
Good morning, Ingrid Tucker, head of school, Cambridge Montessori School in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Louise Otley, head of school, St. Martin's Episcopal School in Atlanta, Georgia.
Jason Lopez, head of school at the Pegasus School in Huntington Beach, right here in Orange County.
Good morning. I'm Darrell Ford, the head of the William Penn Charter School in Philadelphia.
Good morning. I'm Mike O'Gary, head of school of Friends Select School in Center City, Philadelphia.
Good morning, James Cayetos White, head of school at Louisville Collegiate School, soon to be the head of school at Galloway School in Atlanta.
Good morning, Martha Hackmat, head of school at Brooklyn Heights Montessori in Brooklyn, New York.
Hi, Karen Eshu. First shout out to my current school, Vistamar School in El Segundo, California, down here in LA. And future shout out to my soon-to-be new school, King School, Stamford, Connecticut.
Dina Eletterby, head of school for New Horizons School in Irvine, California.
Good morning, I'm Jen Foley Tolbert, head of school at St. Mark's in Altadena, California.
Good morning, I'm Diana Owen, head of school at Pine Point School in Stonington, Connecticut.
Good morning, Amani Reed, head of school at the School at Columbia University, New York City, New York.
Nishant Mehta, the Children's School in Atlanta, Georgia. We are expanding, we are hiring, we train and we mentor. I want you.
I have to stop standing next to Nishant every year. This is ridiculous. I'm Nicole G. Fischard. I'm the head of school at the Advent School in Boston, Massachusetts.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Leeks. I'm the head of school at Seattle Girls School. And I'm standing up here, I'm like, excuse my French, how the hell did I get here? This is amazing.
Good morning. Ken Aldridge, head of school at Wilmington Friends School in Wilmington, Delaware.
Good morning. Dennis Biscard, head of Kingswood Oxford School in West Hartford, Connecticut. I think I speak on behalf of all the heads of school here. We are here to pay it forward, and we stand on the shoulder of giants, mentors, sponsors, road warriors. Most importantly, I've been here for 25 years, and I know some folks out there have been there even longer than that. I met my wife here. My kids went here. Great, great conference.
Good morning. I'm Roel Mason Vivid. I am the new head of school of Park Day School in Oakland, California. So honored and privileged to share this stage with all these amazing leaders, and so happy to be a part of the new era for our school. And like you said, we're hiring. And if you need to talk to me, please do. Search me out.
Good morning, Catherine Din, head of Prospect Sierra School, El Cerrito, California. Once again, as NAS board chair for a few more months, I'm honored to share the stage with all of my colleagues, with Caroline Blackwell, and Donna Oram, our president, wasn't able to make it. So on her behalf, I just wanted to remind everyone who's interested in workshops, conferences for leaders. There's always a day-long workshop before POCC, and there is Aspiring Heads, as well as summer programs and many opportunities in which NAIS works to mentor aspiring leaders of color. So make sure that you seek us out, Caroline, Donna, and anyone at NAIS, to learn more about those opportunities. Thank you so much again for sharing with us in morning and this whole conference. Have a great morning.
Thank you.